and you watch people in your own generation about face
So I gotta
and do
go
what the corporation wants.
first thing
You don't
Monday
get to
morning.
that corner office just because you're 60. You get to that corner office because you'll do what's required.
My goodness. This
You will
is...
step on that person. You
And
will
I gotta
fire
buy a new
them
plate.
if they don't give you what
Oh.
we want. That's how you get that off. So that person you're friends with now that you think is going to give you everything you want when they get that corner office, they're not gonna. Because that won't keep them their job. Quiet quitting, again, Gen Z likes to say they invented this. You didn't. You didn't. Wasting time at work has been part of the workplace forever.
Okay, so I put back the
You know how I know?
$70 on.
I've been
our
on the air for
account.
20 some years. And every year I have to talk about March Madness and the loss of productivity around it. There's always been quiet quitting. There's always been conversations in the hallway that were going on too long. There was this. You did not invent this. You're just screaming about it on TikTok. That's not the same thing as inventing it, right? Like, that's not the same thing as it. And I worry if that's your attitude, I worry about, is that what's stopping you from getting the job you want or the salary you want? Like, it's very popular these days to record yourself getting fired on TikTok. That's dumb if you ask me.
Okay, sweetheart.
Fine, you're not going to work there anymore. But you've just shown every other future employer what you're going to do. I'll give you an example from my life. I left a radio station once and I couldn't wait. And I mean, I couldn't frickin' wait. I hated it there. I cried in the shower before going because that station is where creativity went to die. I hated that job, man. Hated it. You can hear it in my voice when I think about it. It still pisses me off. And when I left there, I lit everything on fire. No stone left unturned. Everybody got flamed, bitch. Everybody. And it took me longer to get the next job. You know why? Because every manager I met with said, is this what you're going to do to me when you're unhappy? Are you going to go online? You're going to flame everybody? Is this what you do every time you're unhappy? Or is this a one-time thing because you were that unhappy about something? Or is this just how you handle your business, Stansberry? We need to know now because we want to get into business with you. But what we don't want is this right here. So record your little video. Get your little likes and reactions. Have your fun. But are you limiting yourself down the road? The answer is usually yes. Usually. Doesn't have to be. Usually. They say Gen Z is also normalizing the conversation around mental health at work. But what they did admit is sometimes Gen Z forgets the distinction between normal emotions and mental illness. And God, this is everybody. This is not just Gen Z. Everybody's kind of done this now. Where if you have any stress in your life forever,
I got a
it's
cheesecake
now a
with
mental
it, so
health.
this is a mold.
I don't
then
see
that.
it that way. Perspective, how do you want to see it?
The assistant there,
This is
the
me?
one that are
And it might not be you.
the staff there.
But if my job came
He
with
said,
no
no, it's
stress,
not a mold.
if my job came with no
Okay.
demands,
I'm gonna
if
change
my
his
job
back. It's
came
better
with
to
no
change his back.
expectations,
Then
I'm gonna
see
hate
when
it.
I said it.
And I mean,
I'm
hate
thinking
it.
I'm thinking I'm stupid.
I've told you before, when I walk through that sales bullpen, you can see
Yeah.
it on their faces.
Is that a
If
mold?
that guy doesn't
No.
kill his job,
Okay, before
we
you
all lose our
complain.
jobs.
I mean,
that's pressure.
It's better to to change it than to argue.
It makes me feel alive. I matter. I'm
Right.
important, at least to these people. Maybe not to you, but to these people I am. I'm relied upon. There are expectations. It creates value in what I do. Now, I said in previous conversations this morning, part of why that's worth it is I love what I do. Not everybody likes what they do. I have a benefit there. For sure I do. Absolutely I do. But come on. We have kind of turned into, oh my God, my boss expects me to do this. Mental health day, I need one. It's like, no, dude. Pressure is part of life. Expectations are part of life. It's not all mental health. We have, and again, I say this too often, but that Staples Easy button, baby, man, did we make that thing as big as it can get. Let's get you into Creed. That show's in November. It's got 3 Doors Down, Mammoth WVH on it as well. And I'll get caller 20 in right now. 330-450-7625. There's a toll-free option at 800-243-7625. And the final hour of the program's next on Rock 106.9.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Shout out to Tim Rogers out of Kent. On his way into Creed. I'll have tickets for you tomorrow. You know what I did just find in here?
How many trips they got?
Another set of Avenged Sevenfold tickets. So we'll get you hooked up by the end of the program on those. Had a bonus set in there. Didn't even know. We'll get those passed out. We've talked about The Office a lot today, not mine, but everybody's. As there's a report
Let me
out that
put it
Gen Z
back.
faces more workplace pressure than previous generations because
But they're
people
going
just
to do
expect
it
you to
then.
work 24 hours a day now.
Maybe
And it
they're gonna
is a
build-
little bit true. We ushered this in. We
Your house?
damn near begged for
Maybe.
it. I've
Is
said
that-
plenty of times.
Is that
Ethan,
the man-made hills or?
like you don't realize
Well,
it's
yeah,
coming
that's
down the
man-made.
road, and like that's definitely true of cell phones and smartphones. Really, not even the cell phone. The cell phone would have been fine. It's the smartphone. And I said last week on the show, I believe when the historians look back on society, they will say, "Dude, internet on the go was really a bad idea. That was really a bad idea." Let people access the internet, kind of, in their, home computer or whatever.
Yep.
Taking it on the go, I think that's where we're going to realize, like, oh man, we made a massive mistake here. But we were kind of talking about how they do face a little bit more pressure. Back in the day, people could get off work, be
Most of
off
these
work, and your
hills
job's
here
just kind of done.
In the residential areas.
I think there are still plenty of those
man-made.
kind of
Are
jobs.
man-made too?
I mean, I have
Most
friends
of
who have
them are,
jobs
I
like that,
In the residential areas.
where once they're done for the day, they're done for the. Now they got to go tomorrow, but like they don't think about it a whole lot until they go back. The only thing they think about with their job is they don't want to go tomorrow, but they don't like obsess about their job. I think about my job all day, every day. And really, I think about what am I going to do when they tell me they don't want me to be here anymore. Oh no, I'm panicked. Like, that's what I think every day. But I think that's who I am. I think I'm the kind of person who would be concerned about my job and be obsessed about it. Obsess is more than the more accurate word than concern. But I would obsess about what my position is, no matter where I was. I don't think it's just about this
Habla.
industry. I think it's just who
In
I am.
our
as a person.
dialect, habla means like suing.
But we were kind of talking about that, and I see some truth in that. Work-life balance has probably never been worse than it is right now. Yeah, I feel like I'm right on that. Yeah, that sounds about right. Which, by the way, every time I bring up work-life balance, I urge anybody with Apple TV, if you've never seen the show Severance, get on that. It's one of the best things I've seen in 5 years. So good. It's about work-life balance, but not in the way you think. And it's one of those shows. Put your phone down. Because it runs off facial cues. You got to watch what's going on in the room behind the character speaking. You kind of have to watch Severance a little bit. But if you're into something like that, I love that. So now I also saw this, and I had this earmarked to talk today. And so I figured, all right, let's just do it right now. And it's about the workplace, and it's about the younger generation in it, much like they face more pressure. A corporate stylist says now that Gen Z needs to stop wearing crop tops and mini skirts to the office. This person says cover up from the nips to the knees. She's advising ditch the crop tops and mini skirts. Cover up, Marie Ellard has said. She's a head of brand development at Banquet and a corporate stylist based in Australia. She told Business Insider that the biggest style mistake she sees is Gen Z workers she says they just expose more skin than is appropriate. Okay, more skin than like Mad Men late 50s, early 60s? I mean, yeah, a lot of people wore skirts all the way down past their knees back then, but like the mini skirt was like, that's when it came out, right? I mean, I watch, like, you go watch old Bond movies, some of those women literally are wearing belts around their vagina. It's like, this is insane, right? And so it's like, is it really more skin
What
now
the
than
fuck
back
is
then?
that?
Like, I don't know. I wasn't there, right? And we don't have this a lot. You would think in radio, a very casual business, that we would have to be telling people to cover it up a little. But very rarely do I see anybody and I'm like, Jesus, like that's not appropriate for here. Like very rarely do I see that. But this woman says again, Marie Ellard says, quote, from nips to knees, you are essentially making sure you are covered, Ellard said. There should be no reason that you have your chest overly exposed. There should be no reason you have your thighs exposed. There's no reason you have your belly button exposed, she adds. She helps clients balance alternative fashion aesthetics there with corporate workwear. She, of course, has a TikTok on how she teaches you about this and how and when to wear a miniskirt to work. If you're unable to bend down or sit without it showing too much, or if you have to adjust it in those situations, it's too short. If you can't functionally move, let's go with this. This is a quote. If you can't functionally move, you are only basing your outfit or just standing, if you can't functionally move and you're only basing your outfit on just standing straight, okay, they broke this up into 2 paragraphs. If it looks good standing still, but if you move around a little bit and you got to like make adjustments with it, it's probably too small. That I don't think is a bad rule of thumb there. Such outfits will only add to your everyday stress because it requires a lot of mental power to maneuver in them, she said. Well, beyond that, the extra attention it's paid, right? Now I know a woman shouldn't have to worry about what she's wearing because of what a man says or thinks. Okay, you're not necessarily wrong. However, you tell me that you do that. So if you know you did,
I love you.
then why feed it?
See you later.
Don't forget your stuff.
Are you victim?
You want
Damon?
You've been that
No,
one?
I'm not
Yeah,
victim.
you can leave that in there for now.
If a man touches your ass because you're wearing a short skirt, it's still his fault. Absolutely. But Greg Giraldo
I'll call
once
you
said
on my
about
break.
women complaining about the attention that they get. Now, he was a comedian, so he's being a little facetious here. But he said they will literally take glitter and sprinkle it on their boobs and then get shocked you're looking at it. And he said, you have sparkly stuff on your breast, man. Like, and now you don't see a whole lot of that in corporate offices, but there is a little, I can do whatever I want, I can wear whatever I want. It's like, well, yes, but if you don't think that that's coming with extra attention, whether it's fair or not, that's a little ridiculous, right? Like it is, it's a little ridiculous to expect no extra attention coming. It's like when people say, oh my God, I got these tattoos and people ask me about them everywhere I go. Oh really? You tattooed your entire face and you're shocked people have follow-up questions? I mean, come on. You don't get to do that. Like you don't get to do that. Should guys be sexually harassing you verbally? No. Should they be physically touching you? No. But extra glances? I'm sorry, you knew what you were getting into here. It kind of brings up a little bit of the, can Brad Pitt sexually harass anybody? The answer is usually no. If Brad Pitt's walking through the office and he tells a woman how good she looks in a dress, she's flattered because he's hot. But if that ugly troll dude in the office says it, he sexually harassed me. Like there's a little bit of an argument in this. It's not true of all women, but come on, we know, we've seen this in some instances. We know that happens, right? That's for sure true. I would tell you, if you know for sure what men are like, and you don't try to, at least within the confines of the workplace, not bring on extra, again, the comments, too far. The touching of you, way too far. But an extra glance because you decided not to cover your boobs up, like, I'm sorry, man. Like, you got to know the extra glance is coming. Again, we'll go back to the Greg Giraldo bit. And what he had said is, you know, women will say, well, I dress this way to get the attention, but I want the attention from them, not from everybody. And his answer was, well, that's how cleavage works. It's not a smart bomb. It's not a laser-guided weapon. You're going to hit your target, but there will be collateral damage.
Live from the Hall of Fame City. And just as bad as NFL officiating. The Stansberry Show. On Rock 1069.
It's 330-450-7625 to send a text to the studio. And as we've been talking about proper dress attire in the workplace, I've got a few people on that text line. We were letting you know that I believe it's Marie Ellard out of Australia is a workplace stylist, and she's telling the younger generation, you need to cover up more in the workplace. Now, again, I made it about Mad Men in the 50s, and there was plenty of cleavage back then and plenty of short skirts and all of this stuff. So, you know, the women showing too much leg has been, it's been like the butter conversation in this country. Butter's good, butter's bad, butter's good, butter's bad, right? It's kind of like back and forth. Too much skin, not enough. Too much, not enough. Too much, right? It's kind of been one of those things. Seems as if there's no making anybody happy with this. So, of course, a couple of texts came in on the text line, 330-450-7625. Stansberry, why is this woman yelling at other women about how they dress in the workplace? Where is this conversation for the men? Well, Tiffany, what I would say is, and it would be a question is, are men having a problem with dressing in a revealing manner in the office? You don't hear about it. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? I've never seen a man ever in a workplace and thought to myself, oh, you need to cover up more than that. ever. I've seen men in my industry wear t-shirts that they thought were going to be okay because we worked at a radio station and we're screwing around in here. And so like some band t-shirts will have the F word plastered front and back of the shirt. That's a bad move to wear that even though it's a radio station. Don't do that, right? Now, if you want to wear an Iron Maiden shirt, welcome to Rock Radio. Wear an Iron Maiden shirt. Nobody's going to bat an eye at it. Although if I go meet with a client, I'm probably not wearing an Iron Maiden shirt to go do that. Right? Like, I want to say there has to come some common sense into these things, but whose common sense are we going to use? Mine? Yours? Somebody else? I mean, whose are we going to use? So I guess, Tiffany, what I don't know is what's the revealing clothing for men? You know, I've noticed this too with the clothing situation between men and women in the workplace. A woman is allowed to feel intruded upon if a man is eyeing her up because of what she's wearing. And she's virtuous for that position. If a man says, this makes me a little uncomfortable with what she's wearing, you don't get to decide what a woman's value is. A woman decides her value. She is strong, a queen, and she is slaying, honey. You don't get to say. Like, a man's not automatically either a sexual creep who can't stop staring at you or a prude who doesn't want to look at your body. Now, you know I don't like the word fair a whole lot, but does that sound fair to you? Doesn't sound that fair to me. I don't know what the revealing men's clothing is. I don't see a lot of guys coming in shorts that are too small and testicles popping out of the bottom. I don't see that. But you can't say the same thing about yoga pants now. Those things in certain parts of your body are suction cupped to you, taking out all the mystery, baby. Now, that's why we like them, right? That's why a lot of guys like them. I love when she puts leggings on around the house. Now, she won't wear them to the store a whole lot because, you know, I told you, her ass walks in the room first. And she's very self-conscious about her big butt. I love it, but she's self-conscious about it. And she knows that draws attention to her. So she's not doing that a whole lot. She'll tell you, I wish I could, but I feel self-conscious. And that's a her thing, not a women thing, right? That's just kind of how she sees it. But, like, if you're wearing those to the workplace and they are literally wrapped around your vaginal area where I can tell the shape and design of what you got going on there, it's probably too tight for the office, right? Run to Starbucks, just left the yoga class, gonna go get your latte? Fine. All day at the office? Probably not though, right? Now I understand the comfortability issue. Cool. Are the dudes in the office next to you, are they coming in those gray sweatpants you tell men they shouldn't wear because their penis isn't big enough, by the way? Maybe some of you don't spend enough time online, maybe have not seen that argument, but women are out here telling men don't wear gray sweatpants unless you have a hammer. So women can tell you what to wear, what not to wear. They're not sexist. They're just doing their part, right? It's kind of funny how that works. I would almost be embarrassed if somebody had to come to me and say, you're not dressing well. And I told you, I'm literally here in a plain gray sweatshirt. I went to a store and I bought like 10 colors. I got a red one, a green one, a blue one, a gray one, a black one. And like, I wake up at 3:45 in the morning, I put a sweatshirt on, a hat to keep my head warm, and I come into work. I don't see very many people. So I get a little with how I dress. Shouldn't. Have I been perceived differently than some of my coworkers because of that? Yes. Am I not valued as much as some other guys who do this and are not as successful at me as while doing it because of situations like that? The answer is yes. Absolutely. I am not seen as an adult like some of those guys that I outbill and dude, the ratings are better, the revenue's better. I outperform them. But they are seen as more put together. They are seen as the adult in the room, and I'm the idiot who fell ass backwards into all the success 10 years straight. I mean, God, it just makes me laugh so hard. But how you present yourself is going to change how people see you. By the way, I'm not a woman, I just sound like one. But I'm not a woman, and I'm dealing with all of that in the workplace by how I dress. So is this a sex issue? Or is it just nah, man, we got to cover up here a little bit. I mean, just look at, I always say it with like going to the retail stores. Like, people used to get dressed to go anywhere. Now it's like, I'm wearing my pajamas. Religion to me, man. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm wearing this. I don't know why anybody won't hire me. Is it because you spend all day talking about how you don't give a damn what anybody thinks about you? Like, that might have something to do with it. Like, it might have something to do with it. Outside of a celebrity, I've never heard anybody tell me, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, who I thought I would trade lives with you right now. Not one. Not a one. Now, celebrities, but they tell you that, you know why? Because they already have the money. They have the thing that matters. That's why they can hold that mentality. You and I can't do that. We need the bread, man. Like, that's how it works. That's how it works. I would be embarrassed if somebody came to me and said, you are showing too much of your penis in the hallway here, man. We got to get... By the way, if a man was showing too much of his testicles or a sexual organ of his body, he's fired. Fired for sexual harassment. Why do we have to beg people to wear decent clothing to the office every day?
Give Stansberry a piece of your mind. Use the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app and let him know just how wrong he is. It's just wrong. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9. I am sitting on another set of these Event Sevenfold tickets, so we'll get those passed out in just a moment. That show March 9th, right around the corner now. Saturday night, Rocket Mortgage. It's not bad there, right? Pretty good night out. Event Sevenfold. We talked a little MGK earlier as he has blacked out part of his body full of tattoos. This is becoming more and more popular. It's not new. I mean, the tattoo world has had this forever. But it has become a little bit more popular in recent, things, you know what it is? It's cyclical, is what I mean to say there. It was kind of like the hot thing to do in tattoos. Then it kind of fell away. Let's get koi fish instead. And then it kind of came back to this. Okay, what we got to do is, we'll just get the 1950s robot tattooed here, right? And then things kind of go in cycles. And so he kind of did that, and everybody's, thinking this is about the fact that he wants to be black. And it's like, well, I think the rap career kind of told us that, right? I mean, there's a little bit of that kind of happened. I'm not sure after he goes pop punk that means this. I think it's more about the fact that he's not the thing being talked about a lot these days. So let me do this so I'm getting talked about. And he just wanted a tattoo. A lot of people made it about the fact that he wanted to cover up his other tattoos. I don't agree with you. I don't. Because don't you just get tattoos covered up? Like, my buddy Zach owns a tattoo shop, right? He owns Innkeeper's Tattoos here in Canton. Great guy. And Zach is a phenomenal cover-up artist, right? That's one of the things it's one of the things he's well known for. Like, if you need a cover-up, my boy will get you done, and he'll get you done right. And so I have seen him take work that it was like, oh my God, a 4-year-old drew that on top of it. I'm like, that won't even work. You can't. He'll send me the video, like, look at this. God damn, man, you are a wizard with that, right? And so I think if MGK, my point is, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know him, right? I didn't talk to him about it. But if he was looking for cover-ups, he would have just gotten cover-ups, I think, at that point. I don't think it's about wanting to be African-American. I don't think it's about covering it up either. I think it's a style he thought was kind of cool. And let's be honest, it's going to move the needle and get him talked about. I mean, I'm talking about him, social media. I mean, he was trending. Day and a half straight, he was trending. That's valuable if you're MGK. Valuable enough to do that to your body? Well, you don't think so, and nor do I, but he clearly does. I think it's mostly about that. The world's obsessed with a guy from Cleveland right now, and his name's Travis Kelce, not Machine Gun Kelly. I think that is part of that. We also talked about how people are dressing in the workplace. Now, this was mostly about revealing clothing for young women, but plenty of young men are process there. I remember when I interviewed for my first radio station for my internship, I was dressed like overdressed. And my dad said, don't be an idiot and wear a Black Sabbath shirt to that interview. Don't do it. I know you think it's a radio station, and that's what everybody going there for their interview is going to do. You want to look like you fit in, and they're not looking for that in the interview, Dan. I promise you, that's not what they're looking for. And sure enough, I went to the interview, and the guy who interviewed me kind of laughed because he's like, man, you kind of dressed up for this, right? And then when I got my job, before the interview fully even over, he said to me, he goes, smart move there, by the way. Smart move. Everybody comes in a Godsmack shirt, bro. Everybody. Everybody's like, well, this is what we're going to wear. He's like, now walk to the office. And how many Godsmack shirts do you really see? Not that many. He's like, most of these people have office jobs, man. Like that. So like, it's an office. Like when you get here. Now you'd see a lot of like station shirts. You'd see a lot of that, but on the promo staff, not the sales staff, not the people who work in the office. They're dressed right? Because, well, they go and ask people for money. And so, like, you gotta look decent to do that. So we had that conversation. We also told you about the 333 perk rule, which is about you spending time with coworkers outside of the office. If you missed any of those conversations, the podcast is going to get posted shortly here at WRQK.com. Aside from that, let's pass out these Avenged Sevenfold tickets. Caller 15 at 330-450-7625. Toll free at 800-243-7625 on those Avenged Sevenfold tickets that show March 9th. Stay safe out there, be good to one another, and do in fact meet me here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. for Thursday's program on Rock 106.9. Hopefully you have a great afternoon, and hopefully I run into you somewhere around town. New Bargain Liquid Detergent. And I set that up when we would broadcast live. We'd go to the game. It was great. It was great. The amount of times I heard Thunderstruck, Hell's Bells, and like a slew of their hits, well, especially since they were playing the radio station during, before and after the game in the stadium. So that might have been a reason why. But like you hear it in the tunnel all the time. You hear those songs in every stadium. Like, they're a perfect fit. Now, I get that, you bring in the pop stars for the younger audience. And I've always used that as an excuse, too. And it makes sense for Lady Gaga when she was hot in the moment. Usher's not hot in the moment. You're relying on... They're not looking for the younger audience there. They're looking for my girlfriend. They want Jen. That's who they want. Because come Super Bowl halftime, she's going to be up there, dude, with that big ass moving around in the living room, dude. She takes the dance floor where she goes. And she loves all those songs. That's who it's for. Like, I get the hook of the younger audience. I think that's what they're doing with Nickelodeon, and they have done it with some of their musical performers, but this one doesn't feel like that. You're not wrong, it happens, but this one doesn't feel like that to me. This feels like something else. I also was looking at Usher's hits the other day, and unless you play the stuff in which he was featured in somebody else's song, they ain't there. Like, the songs he had were big, but there weren't as many as people think. Like, there really wasn't. There's a few. There's not as many as people think. Now, you don't need all that many, right? You're just doing a medley of all of them. And he said already, Usher has said, he's going to reach back in the bag and give you some old stuff, like from stuff that's not his. Because, again, I'm right about his hit parade. Although Prince had plenty of hits, and he did the Foo Fighters out there. So I guess, okay, fair enough. I'll let Usher off the hook on that one then. I don't see the McCaffrey and Shanahan conspiracy at all. If there was one, the Chiefs is the way better story. Mahomes getting his third ring is a way better story. Andy maybe retiring, if he gets his third ring with Pat, is a great story. You're already starting to hear about that a little bit. Chiefs players were begging him to stay just yesterday, saying, we hope he stays, we love him. But, Andy's had some personal issues with the family. Andy's had some personal issues with the health. And I think now that the story's being written on Bill Belichick, and I think inaccurately, I think Andy's going to make himself a little bit of a case like, maybe I'm the best. I know he doesn't have as many chips, but I think that there's going to be an argument, dude, that Andy is the better modern era coach because he's more collaborative than Bill is. And he's willing to take player input more than Bill is. So if he gets his third ring, I think Andy could look at it and like, all right, I'm done. Let me go, right? And so, like, I think that would be a better story. I've defended Taylor Swift in this whole mess, but now I feel like we should drag her a little. And not even her so much as everybody else in the country. Taylor Swift is doing something right now, and nobody's giving her grief on it. And when I say nobody, I mean the bulk of people. Some people are, and I'm going to talk about that too. But Taylor Swift is threatening legal action against a teenager for tracking her private plane movement and posting it. And I'm hearing a lot of people talk about how that's unfair, don't do that, and don't be stalking Tay. You leave our queen alone. Where was that energy when Elon Musk was doing this? That's right. You didn't have it then. I know it's not you, I'm talking about them. But when Elon was doing it, I was hearing about draconian measures. And now Taylor's out there, and it's like, oh no, she kind of has to. She's Taylor Swift. She's like famous, right? She kind of has to. It's Taylor. You mean to tell me Elon isn't famous? Not as famous as Taylor, which I think, again, tells you what's kind of screwed up about this country, but like, okay. And by country, I mean world. You know what I mean? Baseball players have long been, more important than scientists in this country and inventors and all of that kind of stuff. We know that this didn't start with Taylor Swift. Let's not necessarily, blast her for that. But I just find it interesting because everybody pretended Elon doing this was like the biggest problem in the world. But now the bad blood singers out there doing it and it's not an issue? I see a lot of the media quiet about that. They're telling you she's doing it. They're not giving you an opinion on how terrible it is she's doing it. It's interesting, right? Yeah, of course it is. It's also the most expected thing of all time. Now, some of her fans are upset with her because it's bringing up the private plane thing. And so a lot of the younger Taylor Swift fans are on Reddit and saying things like, oh my God, I'm really disappointed in her. Like, she could take a car, she could do this, she could do that. Like, yeah, she probably could. The climate change and then flying private plane thing doesn't really upset me the way it does other people. It is a little hypocritical. I won't deny that. It's just, that's not the hypocrisy that burns my ass. Like, that really does burn some people up, and it's just that they don't want to be lectured to about the environment. And I understand it. I believe we negatively affect the environment. I believe that. What I don't believe is that there's a dollar amount you could tax me where these morons are going to fix it. You know why? Because they've told me there's a dollar amount to where they can tax me where they can fix the roads and fix the schools and do all of that, and they never do it. So until you can prove to me that you can fix those issues, fix the schools, get the proper teachers in there, make sure teachers actually get no more responsibility from me. None. They are terrible at everything, which is why I don't want them taking on any more responsibility. But I saw a lot of people dragging Elon for this, and Taylor's kind of getting let off the hook. I expect the stars to fly private. Now, if she's the only one on the plane, that's a little ridiculous. But my guess is she's not, right? There's probably 15, 20 people on that plane with her. I gotta be honest, I kind of want to fly JetBlue, like semi-private. I think if I was alone on a plane, it would freak me out. So many times I think I'm gonna die on a plane. I'm not afraid to fly, but I think to myself, like, there's potential here, right? And every time I'm on a plane, it's in my mind. And I'm so crazy that I look around at all of you on the plane and I think to myself, well, Jesus would never kill all of these people. So I'm probably gonna be all right. Like, dude, God wouldn't just kill these, dude, he doesn't hate me enough to kill the rest of you just to take me out, right? And like, there's safety in numbers is kind of one of those things that runs through my mind, where if I was on a private plane alone, just me, the pilot, and some, I'm guessing, hot lady to bring me the towels or whatever, I would be like, we're all gonna die, dude. I am not important enough for all of this.
Back to the Stansberry Show, Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. this morning, I'm going to rock the bank with you. Get that first $1,000 keyword passed out. Those presented by Beavers Marine. Looking for a boat for the season? That's the place to get it. BeaversMarineStore.com. All right. We talk about respect a lot on the show. As a matter of fact, I just brought it up yesterday. As I said, and I don't even know why I brought it up, but we were talking about something, and I said, if I see you in the store and your kid is with you, I'll try to respect you even more than I would otherwise. Yes, sir, no, ma'am, hold the door, this and that. I think it's important that children see their parents get respected. I saw my parents respected as a kid, and it's not that I knew it at 9 years old, but now I can look back on it, think of myself looking at those situations, and it made an impact on me. It did. And I believe if your kids see you be respected by strangers, an easier time you'll have getting them to respect you more often, right? And kids, look, they're kids, and so some days they're just bratty kids. Even the best kids alive are still occasionally sometimes bratty kids, but respect can be important. And I find, yes, I am always harping on the, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. It's like, that is the biggest defense mechanism statement in the world. Everybody cares what other people think about them. Everyone. It's a ridiculous statement, because the same people who say that, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. You ever notice? They're the ones who want to fist fight if they get disrespected in public. But you don't care. You care so little we have to physically fight now over being disrespected, but you don't care. But you care enough now to where you're going to punch this thing. Is it that you care about that, or are you just angry and need to punch something? I guess that would maybe differ person to person. I mention it because somebody sent me this. One of you actually sent me this. It was texted in 330-450-7625 yesterday. I saw it. I was like, oh, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And it's how you and I are losing the respect of the actions. I don't think I'm guilty of all of these things every day, but I have definitely throughout my life been guilty of a good portion of them, and maybe a few of them too often. We'll start at the bottom of the list. Number 8 is being a buzzkill. And I can sort of be a buzzkill. I can. I don't really love silly. I'm not into parody. Like, I loved Weird Al as a kid, and I would shake his hand today and tell him, dude, I respect what you have done, and you're clearly a clever writer, but, like, I don't care about it. Like, I don't really do well with silly, and so sometimes I can be a little too serious about things in my replies, in what I will accept to watch or view. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of silly. I like comedy. I think they're different. But I can be a little bit of a buzzkill at times. Blocking yourself off from lightheartedness pushes people away, they say. No, they say there are obviously take things too seriously. We show that we can't be flexible. All right, well, I think I would probably stop short of that. I think I can be flexible. Maybe not in everything, but I think I can be flexible. But yeah, I could understand. If everybody's sitting around having a little bit of a good time and you're like, well, you know, I mean, secretly, why we can't enjoy that is, I mean, one person and my cousin, like, went through that struggle. Oh my God, hashtag struggle. Like, don't you know? Hashtag struggle. Right? Like, those people can be a little annoying. And you're probably not me in that. Not that you care this much. But if every cause is your biggest cause, I lose respect for you. You need to kind of pick, because I know nobody cares about everything this much. We all got a list about to do it for everything. I lose respect for that, because I don't think you really care about this. You just want to appear like you do care about it. And I lose respect for that. That sometimes I do. Devaluing your time. When people do this, you're losing the respect of other people. If you're quick to drop everything to help us, you might be pleasing, but what else does it say about you? I thought this was devaluing the other person's time. But if you're showing respect for you and then just start taking advantage of your kindness, like nice guys finish last, right? It's kind of where that sentence comes from. In my life, I have done that, where women have been a little too servant-based, that you can even think you want something like that. They say there's a balance, obviously, being overly and forcefully interested in others and not being somebody's pet, right? But respect will fade if we hear about you more than you're asking about us. Though I am not a big fan of the center of attention this person says, I often feel deflated with little interest in reconnecting in the conversation I just had with you if you're lacking interest in me. So again, I'm gonna lay my better half in front of the train tracks here. She can be a little guilty. Put back around and tell you his name, and then you know, we'll get off the phone and I'm like, you didn't even ask me about my day, right? Like, not even a little bit, like it never crossed her mind. And then later on that night, after she kind of does the mom thing, we'll have to circle back and be like, hey, you know, I hate to be this guy because it always makes me feel like a little bit of a whiner and a complainer here, but like, been like 3 days, you gonna be interested in what the hell I got going on or no, right? Like, she can be a little guilty of that, and I will sometimes at the end of the day lose a little respect for her. I let it slide because caring about others is her thing. Like, she cares about her kids, she cares about the community and society as a whole. That's why she works where she does. She cares about a little bit of that, and I would rather that, right? Like, I can kind of force the conversation. I want to talk about me, little Toby Keith, right? I can kind of force that, versus I would rather have that problem than have her be the kind of person that doesn't care about anybody else in society. I will take this and then yell at her about it. Like, I will do that, but I would rather that than her, like, look at the world like, I don't care, like, being near her because of it. Like, osmosis hoping there, right? Like, nah, maybe some of this will lead over to me, right? You know, and I'll get to do this. You're doing stuff every day that's losing the respect of other people around you, including your family. We haven't even scratched the surface of this. So we'll run through some more, you know, options of this, or examples of it, rather, and we'll do that next on The Stansberry Show.
He sucks on Instagram, too. Like, sucks ass. Follow him anyway at Dan.Stansberry. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
I believe starting Monday, I'll have Creed tickets for you. I'm looking forward to that show, dude. That show's got Mammoth on it. Wolfie Van Halen. I've seen just about everybody. Been pretty lucky. I have not yet seen him, and I want to get that done, so I'm probably going to go to that. 3 doors down on that bill, too. Pretty good. I'll have tickets for Creed starting next week. Whatever! What's the over-under on how many times I want to do that next week? We'll set it at like 12. I'll bet the over on that one. I'll be deep in my Scott Snap bag all next week, passing out tickets for Creed. We had been talking about respect. And apparently there are, for us, being a little bit of a buzzkill, and I can be this. I had been worse at this before I got into this industry. I just had a hard time with silly. It's not necessarily my favorite. You'd think it would be. Now with the kid, that's different, right? It's like, all right, well, I'm trying to entertain the kid. And like, you kind of have to approach them on their level there, and that's fine. I don't necessarily want silly with like my friends, but with the kid, devaluing your own time. People say, you know, you'll lose respect. I kind of put it of it. She's lost respect for you at that point. Who could ever be in the arena of this or that or whatever? You're just now the guy who can lift the heavy groceries. You know, everybody kind of knows the friend zone thing. Dudes get put in there a lot. Showing a little interest in others, you know, being a little too focused on you. I can be guilty of this. Absolutely, I can. I think everybody can. But if I had a list of problems, and on those I do, that would probably be on it. This one would be too, I would imagine. Complaining. If you're moaning, they say, we're not interested. Because if something can't be changed, you're bringing it up just pollutes the vibe with heaviness that could have been avoided. Or what it does is raise the issue, and we can recognize the fact that whatever this issue is could affect the next situation too. So let's talk about it now, and let's prevent it in the future. Like, my company hates when I complain. Like, if something doesn't work in here and I complain on the air about it, they hate it. Cannot stand it. First, they tell me nobody cares when you do that. It's like, well, nobody cares if I do it too long. But like 90 seconds of it is like, dude, I wish I could yell at my boss like that. Like, dude, don't lie, right? It's like, so it's like, like too long, maybe. But they hate when I do it. And I always say to them, I'm like, when I ask nicely, nothing ever gets fixed. When I complain, that's when you send somebody in here to fix things. So you have trained me to complain to you. Still not right, but it's like we're kind of stuck in this circle. Now, lately everything's been, you know, honky-dory here, to use a phrase I would normally never. But things have been mostly good here, so I don't have a whole lot of reason to complain. But if you're spending too much time doing that, then yeah. I think